Picture this. A tiny, brave 12-year-old girl from the heart of Baltimore, her hands trembling as she presses them against the chest of a stranger. A millionaire, no less, sprawled across 3 first-class seats. The plane jolts violently, oxygen masks dangle like eerie chandeliers, and chaos erupts at 30,000 feet. Screams fill the air, luggage tumbles, and prayers rise in a dozen languages. But Zora Williams? She's laser-focused, her tear-streaked face fixed on the ashen man before her, Richard Harrington. "Don't you die on me," she whispers fiercely, her small voice cutting through the pandemonium. Why is she fighting so hard to save a man who barely glanced at her when she boarded Flight 2187 just hours ago? And what did he whisper to her? Those words that made her sob. If this story's already grabbing your heart, hit that subscribe button, because you won't want to miss what happens next in this true tale of courage, secrets, and a connection that defies all odds. Let's rewind. Zora Williams, a bright-eyed 12-year-old with a worn backpack slung over her shoulder, steps onto a Boeing 777, her first ever flight. She's leaving behind her East Baltimore neighborhood. Think leaky faucets, corner stores with free candy from kind Mr. Jean, and a community center where she escapes when her grandma's at doctor's appointments. This plane is a whole new universe. Soft blue lights, crisp uniforms, and passengers speaking languages she can't place. It's like stepping onto the moon. Zora clutches her backpack tighter, feeling every bit the outsider in this sleek, unfamiliar world. "Excuse me, honey, are you traveling alone?" A flight attendant named Patricia, her red nails glinting, gives Zora a warm but slightly pitying smile. Zora nods, her throat too dry to speak. She's used to that look. Pity's been her shadow since her grandma got sick. Patricia checks her boarding pass, her eyebrow arching. "Seat 14A? Right this way, sweetie." As they pass the velvet curtain into first class, Zora sneaks a peek at the elite passengers. Laptops hum, eye masks block out the world, but one man catches her eye. He's older, maybe 60, with silver hair and a tailored black suit that screams money. Richard Harrington sits perfectly still, staring out the window with an intensity that makes Zora wonder. What's he seeing that no one else can? Their eyes lock for a fleeting, electric moment. His face flickers. Surprise, confusion, something deeper. Before he turns away, his expression icing over. "Sir, can I get you anything before takeoff?" Another attendant asks. "Just privacy," he snaps, his voice as cold as his gaze. Zora's ushered to her seat, but that brief encounter leaves her unsettled. Why did he look at her like she was a ghost? Seat 14A is a small miracle. A whole row to herself. Zora slides in, grateful for the space. This trip wasn't her choice. 3 weeks ago, a certified letter arrived with a plane ticket and a cryptic note. "Your presence is requested in London regarding an inheritance matter. All expenses paid. Discretion advised." Her grandma, ever skeptical, rasped, "Sounds like a scam." But the letter knew things, specific things, about Zora's father, James Williams, who died when she was 4. Warm hands, a rumbling laugh, the scent of peppermint and motor oil. That's all Zora remembers of him. After calls to the London law firm, Blackwell Henderson and Associates, and a notary's visit, Grandma relented. "Just be careful," she warned, her voice heavy. "The world ain't always kind to girls who look like you, especially when they're alone." As the plane taxis, Zora's mind races. She's flying across an ocean to meet strangers about an inheritance tied to her father. It sounds like one of her mystery novels, but this is real life, her life, taking a wild turn. The engines roar, pressing her back into her seat. She closes her eyes, fear and hope swirling. Whatever's waiting in London, she'll face it with the grit that's carried her through her father's death, her mother's disappearance, and her grandma's fierce but fragile love. The seatbelt sign dings off, and passengers settle in for the 7-hour journey. Zora pulls out her dad's dog-eared copy of The Secret Garden, its margins filled with his handwritten notes. When she misses him most, she reads those words, imagining his thoughts reaching across time. She's just opening to her page when a commotion in first class breaks her focus. It's Harrington, standing, his voice sharp. "This is unacceptable. I requested a vacant seat beside me." The flight attendant, unflappable, explains that Mr. Chun, another elite passenger, can't be moved. Harrington's tirade escalates. "Do you know who I am?" Zora rolls her eyes. Rich people problems. But something nags at her. The way Harrington says James when addressing Mr. Chun, like they share a history. The dispute ends with Chun moving, leaving Harrington to his precious solitude. As he sits, his gaze sweeps the cabin and locks with Zora's again. This time, she doesn't look away, challenging his coldness. To her surprise, he breaks the stare, turning abruptly to a flight attendant. Zora returns to her book, but her mind lingers on that moment. For a split second, she saw something in his eyes. Recognition? Impossible. What would a millionaire like him know about a kid from East Baltimore? An hour later, as drinks are served, Harrington heads to the first-class lavatory. As he passes the curtain, something falls from his jacket. A folded piece of paper. Without thinking, Zora unbuckles and grabs it, intending to return it. But curiosity, that spark that's always gotten her into trouble, takes over. She unfolds it. It's not a receipt or a note. It's a photograph worn at the creases. A young black couple stands in front of a modest house, arms around each other, smiling brightly. Zora's heart stops. The woman's dimple, the man's tall frame. She knows them. It's her parents, Eliza and James, from years before she was born. Why does Richard Harrington have a photo of her parents? Her hands shake as she refolds it. The lavatory door opens. Harrington emerges, patting his pockets, his face troubled. Zora slips back to her seat, the photo burning in her hand. She should return it, but how can she explain looking at it? And how can she give it back without asking, "How did you know my parents?" Flight attendants search first class for the lost item, but Zora stays silent, tucking the photo into her book. She needs time to think. The plane hits turbulence, the cabin shuddering. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Captain Reynolds." The intercom crackles. "We're hitting some rough air. Please fasten your seatbelts." The shaking intensifies, the plane dipping like a roller coaster. Zora grips her armrests, fear spiking. She's never felt so vulnerable, hurtling through the sky in a metal tube. "It's normal," a gentle voice says. An elderly woman, Dorothea Jackson, has taken the aisle seat in Zora's row. Her silver hair is neatly styled, her lavender sweater set church-ready. "I've been flying since the 70s, she says, offering a peppermint. "A little bumpy air's nothing to worry about." Zora accepts the candy, grateful for the kindness. "I'm Zora," she says shyly. "First flight?" Dorothea asks with a knowing smile. Zora nods, and they chat. Dorothea's visiting her son in London for her 75th birthday, and Zora's on a complicated family trip. Dorothea's shrewd eyes see more than Zora says. "You've got that look, like you miss nothing. That'll serve you well, especially when life makes you grow up fast." The plane steadies, sunlight flooding the cabin. Zora gazes out at a sea of clouds, golden and serene. For a moment, she's just a girl on an adventure, sharing a magical view with a kind stranger. Then chaos erupts in first class, raised voices, urgent movement. A flight attendant rushes forward. Dorothea flags another. "Is everything okay up there?" The attendant's smile is tight, just a passenger feeling unwell. But his hurried steps say otherwise. Zora's gut twists. As Harrington, she's sure of it. Is this tied to the photo, to her parents, to her being on this flight? The irrational fear that she caused this grips her, but she shakes it off. Dorothea, a retired nurse, unbuckles. "I should help. I handled critical care for 47 years. Despite protests, she moves forward, and Zora follows, drawn by an instinct she can't name. In first class, Harrington slumps in his seat, his face gray, breathing labored. Mr. Chun supports him as an attendant holds an oxygen mask. "Possible cardiac event," someone says. Dorothea takes charge, her nurse's authority clearing a path. She checks his pulse, her calm steadying the frantic crew. Harrington's eyes flutter open, unfocused, then sharpen on Zora. Recognition flashes, followed by desperation. He pulls the mask aside, gasping, "The photo, please." Zora freezes. He knows she has it. "What photo?" Dorothea asks, but before Zora can answer, the plane lurches violently. Oxygen masks drop, lights flicker, and the captain's voice booms, "Severe turbulence. Return to your seats immediately." The cabin rocks, passengers scream, and Zora stumbles. Harrington grabs her wrist, his grip surprisingly strong. "James and Eliza," he wheezes. "You're their daughter. I need to." The plane drops, a sickening freefall. Chaos erupts, and his grip breaks as attendants secure him. Dorothea pulls Zora back to economy, her nurse's voice firm. "Seatbelt now." The cabin lights fail, emergency glow casting an eerie blue. Oxygen masks sway. Zora's voice is small. "Is this normal?" Dorothea squeezes her hand. "No, honey, but these planes are tough. We'll be fine." Her calm is a lifeline. The captain's voice returns, tense. "We're diverting to Gander, Newfoundland, due to weather and a medical emergency. Estimated landing in 40 minutes. The next half hour is agonizing. Turbulence eases, but tension doesn't." Flight attendants rush to first class with medical gear, their faces grim. Zora whispers, "Is Mr. Harrington going to be okay?" Dorothea's surprised. "You know him?" Zora shakes her head. "He knew my parents, somehow." The plane descends through menacing gray clouds, landing roughly at Gander. Rain lashes the windows as emergency vehicles flash outside. Paramedics board, rushing Harrington off. Zora unbuckles, desperate to speak to him, but an attendant blocks her. "Miss, stay seated. Please." Zora pleads. "He knows about my parents." Then Harrington's voice, weak but insistent, rises. "The girl! I need to speak to the girl." Paramedic appears. "Is there a young lady here?" Zora steps forward, showing the photo. "He dropped this. It's my parents." Guided to first class, Zora approaches Harrington on a stretcher, his face gray but eyes alert. "I found this," she says, holding the photo. "Why do you have it?" His breathing is labored. "Not much time. Listen." He gestures her closer, whispering words so soft she strains to hear. When they register, she reels back, eyes wide. "That's not possible. You're lying." He shakes his head. "Ask your grandmother about July 17th, 1992. She knows." He presses a small key into her palm. "Take this. Everything's explained. London lawyers will help." Alarms blare. "He's crashing!" A paramedic shouts, pushing Zora aside. They rush him off, leaving her frozen, tears streaming. His whispered words, "I'm your father," shatter everything she knows. Passengers are herded into Gander's terminal, a holding area buzzing with frustrated travelers. Zora sits apart, the photo and key her only companions. Richard Harrington, a white millionaire, claims to be her father. Not James Williams, the black man she's mourned, whose grave she visits yearly. It's absurd, yet his words, the key, and the photo scream truth. "Mind if I join you?" Dorothea offers hot chocolate, her kindness a balm. Zora accepts, wrapping her cold fingers around the cup. "Want to talk?" Dorothea asks gently. Zora hesitates, then spills it. "He said he's my father. My real father was black. I have memories, pictures. How can this be true?" Dorothea sips thoughtfully. "Family's complicated, honey. Secrets get kept for all kinds of reasons, protection, selfishness, or both. Whatever happened, they thought they were doing right." Zora clutches the key. "I need to get to London. The lawyers know something. Then I need to talk to my grandma." An announcement interrupts. A new plane will take them to London in an hour. Zora's relief is tempered. "What about Mr. Harrington?" Dorothea shakes her head. "No official word, but a paramedic said he's at James Peyton Memorial Hospital." Zora's panic flares. "What if he dies before I get answers?" Dorothea promises to inquire and returns with news. Harrington's stable but unreachable before their flight. However, she arranged a hospital phone call. Think carefully, Zora. Make those minutes count. An airline staffer hands Zora a phone. Hello? She says, voice small. Zora. Harrington replies weakly. Thank you for calling. She blurts, are you really my father? Pause, then a sigh. Yes, biologically. The confirmation dizzies her. How? James Williams was black. I look like him. Harrington's voice warms. James was a good man, your mother's friend. When she was pregnant, he married her. Gave you his name, his love. It was 1992. I was married, wealthy, white. Your mother was young, black, alone. James protected you. Did you want me? Zora asks, raw. Another pause. I didn't know about you until after you were born. By then, you had James's love, a family. I couldn't offer that. Why now? Why London? The lawyers work for me. When I learned of your grandma's illness, I knew it was time. The inheritance is real. A trust for your education, housing, anything you need. Anger surges. You've been watching me? Not directly, but yes. I funded your school, the community center. It was the least I could do. And my mother? Where is she? A heavy pause. That's for in person when I'm recovered. The key opens a safe deposit box at Barclays. Inside is a letter from her, explaining everything. The staffer signals time's up. Harrington's voice weakens. I know you're angry, confused. You have every right. Go to London, read her letter. If you're willing, I'd like to explain in person. Zora's overwhelmed. I need to think. Of course, whatever you decide. No, I've never stopped thinking about you. She hangs up, tears falling, Dorothea's kind eyes watching. The flight to London passes in a blur. Zora barely notices the meal or the city lights below as they land at Heathrow. Dorothea breaks the silence. First time in London? Zora nods. It's full of secrets. Fitting for you. She hands Zora her number. Call me, day or night. They part at immigration, Dorothea's words echoing. Your past doesn't define your future. That story's yours. In the arrivals hall, a driver named Raj holds a sign. Z. Williams, Blackwell Henderson and Associates. He leads her to a sleek car, and London unfolds. Tower Bridge, Parliament, the London eye glowing against the night. First visit? Raj asks. Yes, Zora says, exhaustion hitting. The car stops at the Claridge, a grand hotel in Mayfair. There's a mistake, Zora protests. Raj smiles. No mistake. Mr. Henderson arranged it. Checked in, Zora receives an envelope from the receptionist. The note from Edward Henderson welcomes her, promising a meeting with Miss Powell at 9:30 a.m. Her suite is palatial. Velvet sofas, fresh flowers, a view of quiet streets. Overwhelmed, Zora orders soup and a sandwich, showers and calls her grandma. Zora, thank God. Grandma's voice is tired but strong. What happened on that flight? Zora hesitates, then asks, do you know Richard Harrington? Silence. Where'd you hear that name? He was on my flight. He said he's my biological father. A sharp breath. Is it true? Zora demands. James was your father in every way that matters, Grandma says firmly. He loved you. Biology isn't everything. Why didn't you tell me? You're 12, child. We wanted to protect you from prejudice, pain. And Mom? Harrington says she's sick. Grandma's voice cracks. She didn't abandon you. She was sick, depression, paranoia. She left to protect you. Zora's stunned. I deserve the truth. You're right, Grandma concedes. I'm sorry. They agree to visit Zora's mom together after London. About Harrington, Grandma says, that's your choice, Zora. What does your heart say? The next morning, Zora dresses carefully. Her navy dress and scuffed shoes a stark contrast to the Claridge's opulence. At 9:30, Lydia Powell, a sharp young lawyer, greets her. There was excitement on your flight, she says, revealing Harrington's call from Gander. He's our client. We handle his affairs, including you. They walk to Blackwell Henderson's stately office, where Edward Henderson, dignified and kind, awaits. Mr. Harrington told you he's your father. Henderson confirms, presenting DNA results. Your mother had this test done after your birth. Zora's reeling. She let me believe James was my dad. Her choice, with James's support, was to protect you. Henderson explains the trust fund for her education and future, prompted by her grandma's illness to avoid foster care. What does he want? Zora asks. To know you in whatever way you allow. Zora demands her mother's letter. Henderson provides a sealed envelope, her mother's handwriting unmistakable. Alone, Zora reads Eliza's words, a heartbreaking tale of love, betrayal, and sacrifice. Eliza met James at Howard, became friends, then met Harrington at TechCorp. Their affair led to Zora's conception, but Harrington chose his career over them. James married Eliza, raising Zora as his own. After his death, Eliza's mental health spiraled, depression, paranoia, psychosis. She left Zora with Grandma to protect her, entering a psychiatric facility in Arizona. She affirms Harrington's care, leaving Zora to decide their relationship. Tears fall as Zora sees her mother's love, James's devotion, and Harrington's regret. Henderson returns. I need to see her, Zora says, and talk to Grandma. Arrangements are possible, and Harrington hopes to meet her. Zora requests the safe deposit box. At Barclays, Henderson and Zora access Harrington's box. Inside are photos of Zora's life, a locket with her parents' images, a USB of records, and a journal. Harrington's entries reveal his distant love, regret, and hope. He didn't plan to be on my flight, Zora says. Fate, Henderson replies. The locket, a family heirloom, is hers to keep. Zora pockets it, needing time. Back at the hotel, Zora calls Grandma, tears flowing. I know everything. Grandma apologizes, affirming James's love and supporting Zora's choices. They'll visit Eliza together. About Harrington, Zora's unsure but curious. I think I want to meet him. Zora's journey is just beginning. In London, she'll meet Harrington, confront her past, and shape her future. With her mother's letter, James's love, and Grandma's strength, she's ready to write her own story. Subscribe to hear more tales of courage and connection. What's in that safe deposit box? Share your thoughts below. As the fireflies twinkled in the Baltimore dusk, Zora Williams sat on the creaking porch swing beside her grandmother, enveloped in a quiet peace that felt hard-won yet profoundly grounding. The past year, marked by a turbulent flight, a life-altering revelation, and a journey across continents to uncover her origins, had reshaped her world. At 13, she was no longer the wide-eyed 12-year-old who boarded Flight 2187, clutching her father's copy of The Secret Garden. She was a young woman navigating a tapestry of relationships, truths, and choices with a maturity that surprised even herself. But the story doesn't end here. What happens when Zora continues to weave Richard Harrington, her biological father, into her life? How does her rekindled bond with her mother, Eliza, evolve? And what new challenges await as she steps into adolescence? If you're as captivated by Zora's courage as we are, hit that subscribe button, because her journey is far from over. Back in Baltimore, summer gave way to fall, and Zora's life settled into a rhythm that balanced the familiar with the new. School resumed, her 8th grade classes challenging but exciting, especially her advanced math course, where she outshone her peers. The community center remained her haven, where she tutored younger kids and lost herself in art classes. But woven into this routine were threads of her expanded family. Emails from Richard Harrington arrived every couple of weeks, thoughtful, never pushy, sharing snippets of his life. A new tech project, a book he'd read, a memory of his sister Catherine's latest quip. Zora responded with equal care, mentioning a school project or a funny moment with her best friend, Tanya, but always keeping a boundary, testing the waters of this unfamiliar connection. Their first phone call, arranged after weeks of emails, was awkward but promising. How's school? Harrington asked, his voice warm but cautious over the line. "Good," Zora replied, twisting the phone cord. "I'm in this math competition next month. First time our school's been invited." "That's impressive," he said, genuine interest in his tone. "Math was never my strength. Catherine used to tease me about it." A small laugh escaped Zora, surprising her. The call lasted 15 minutes, a safe exchange of surface details, but it left her curious. He wasn't the cold, entitled man from the plane anymore. He was becoming real, human, flawed. Grandma Me, ever her anchor, watched this slow unfolding with quiet approval. "He's trying, child," she said one evening as they shelled peas on the porch. "Doesn't erase the past, but it's something." Zora nodded, her fingers pausing. "I'm not sure what I want him to be yet. Not a dad. James was my dad. But maybe something else." Grandma's eyes softened. "You'll figure it out. No rush." In late October, Zora and Grandma Me returned to Arizona for another visit with Eliza. The Sedona facility, with its red rock backdrop and serene paths, felt less foreign this time. Dr. Littlefeather greeted them, her calm presence reassuring. "Eliza's been stable," she said. "She's been painting a lot, preparing for your visit." Zora's heart lifted. The idea of her mother creating art, finding expression despite her illness, felt like a bridge to the vibrant woman she remembered from childhood. Eliza waited in the same garden courtyard, her silver curls catching the sunlight. She stood as they approached, her dimpled smile mirroring Zora's. "My girl," she whispered, pulling Zora into a hug. The embrace was stronger this time, less tentative. Grandma Me joined them, and for a moment, the three stood in a quiet circle, their connection palpable despite the years and secrets that had once divided them. They spent the day sharing stories. Zora talked about school, her math competition, and Tanya's latest crush. Eliza shared her latest painting, a vibrant desert sunset, and spoke of her therapy, the small victories of managing her paranoia. "Some days, I feel like I'm climbing a mountain," she admitted, her eyes distant. "But knowing you're out there, thriving, gives me a reason to keep going." Zora squeezed her hand, tears pricking her eyes. "I'm glad I'm here, Mom." The topic of Harrington came up naturally. "He told me he visits you," Zora said, curious. Eliza nodded. "He does. At first, I hated seeing him. Too many memories. But now, it's about you. He shows me pictures, tells me about your school. It's his way of caring, I think." Zora frowned. "Why didn't he care before?" Eliza's gaze softened. "He was young, scared, selfish. He's different now, not perfect, but trying." "What do you think of him?" Zora hesitated. "I'm not sure. We talk sometimes. It's weird, but not bad." Eliza smiled. "That's a start. You decide what he means to you, Zora. No one else." As they said goodbye, Eliza pressed a small canvas into Zora's hands, a painting of a lone cactus against a starry sky. "For your room," she said. "So you'll remember me." Zora hugged her tightly. "I could never forget you, Mom." The promise of another visit in spring anchored their parting, making it less painful than before. In December, Harrington visited Baltimore again, this time for a business conference that coincided with Zora's math competition. He asked to attend, and after discussing it with Grandma Me, Zora agreed. The auditorium buzzed with nervous energy as teams from across the state competed. Zora's team placed second, and her solution to a complex geometry problem earned a special mention. As she stepped off the stage, clutching her certificate, she spotted Harrington in the back row, clapping with a quiet pride that caught her off guard. Afterward, they grabbed hot chocolate at a nearby cafe. "You were incredible up there," he said, his blue eyes warm. "I couldn't follow half of it, but you owned that stage." Zora blushed, stirring her drink. "Thanks for coming. It was nice to have someone there." The words felt vulnerable but true. They talked about her win, his latest project, and, tentatively, Catherine's offer to host Zora in D.C. over spring break. "No pressure," he added quickly. "Just an idea." Zora nodded, intrigued. I'll think about it. As they parted, Harrington handed her a small gift. A leather-bound journal, its pages blank. For your thoughts, your stories, he said. You're a thinker, Zora. I thought you might like it. She traced the cover, touched by the gesture. Thanks, Richard, she said, testing his name. It felt right, not Dad, but a step toward something personal. March brought Zora's 13th birthday and a trip to Washington, D.C., to meet Catherine Harrington Brooks. Grandma Mee stayed home, her health stable but her energy lower after a recent treatment. Tanya came along, her chatter easing Zora's nerves as they rode the train. Catherine met them at Union Station, her laugh infectious as she hugged Zora. You're even prettier in person, she exclaimed, her directness disarming. Tanya grinned. You're cool for an aunt. The weekend was a whirlwind. Catherine, a literature professor, took them to the National Museum of African American History and Culture, where Zora lingered over exhibits on the Great Migration, connecting them to her family's Baltimore roots. They visited Georgetown's campus, where Catherine's students waved enthusiastically, and explored bookstores, where Zora picked out a novel with Catherine's recommendation. Tanya whispered, She's like a fun version of your grandma. Zora laughed, agreeing. Over dinner at Catherine's cozy row house, Zora asked about Harrington's childhood. Catherine's stories painted a picture of a driven but lonely boy, shaped by strict parents and high expectations. He's always been good at building things, companies, systems, but people? That's harder for him, she said. You're giving him a chance to learn, Zora. That's brave. Zora sipped her soda, processing. I'm not sure I'm brave. I'm just figuring it out. Catherine smiled. That's what bravery looks like. Before they left, Catherine gave Zora a photo album, snapshots of Harrington's family, including a young Richard with Catherine. Their resemblance to Zora subtle but unmistakable. You're part of this story too, Catherine said. Whenever you're ready to claim it. Zora hugged her, grateful for this new connection that felt unforced, genuine. By June 2026, a year after Zora's return from London, her life had evolved in ways she couldn't have imagined. Regular visits to Arizona strengthened her bond with Eliza, whose good days grew more frequent with adjusted treatment. Zora's room now held her mother's paintings, each a reminder of their reconnection. Phone calls with Harrington became monthly, their conversations deepening as they shared more of their lives. He attended her spring play, where she played a minor but spirited role, and sent a thoughtful email after, praising her confidence. Catherine became a regular presence, visiting Baltimore for Zora's events and hosting her in D.C. for cultural outings. Tanya dubbed her Auntie Cat, a nickname Catherine embraced. Grandma Mee's health stabilized, her remission holding strong, allowing Zora to focus on school, friends, and her growing sense of self. The trust fund, managed by Henderson, ensured financial security, but Zora valued the relationships it had facilitated more than the money. One evening, as Zora and Grandma Mee sat on the porch swing, Zora opened her journal, the one Harrington had given her. Its pages were filled with reflections, sketches, and quotes from books she loved. I've been writing about all of it, she said. Mom, Richard, James, you. It helps me make sense of things. Grandma Mee smiled. You're telling your story, child. That's powerful. Zora flipped to a recent entry, reading aloud. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or saying what happened was okay. It means choosing to carry less weight, to make room for new things. Love, hope, maybe even family you didn't expect. I'm learning that family isn't just who you're born to. It's who chooses you, who shows up, who stays. Grandma Mee squeezed her hand. You're wise beyond your years, Zora. James would be so proud. On the anniversary of her London trip, Zora visited the community center's garden, a project she'd helped revive. She planted a cactus cutting from Arizona, a nod to her mother's paintings, and a lavender sprig, inspired by Catherine's D.C. garden. As she worked, Tanya joined her, teasing, You're turning into a plant lady. Zora laughed, dirt smudging her cheek. Maybe. I like making things grow. That night, she emailed Harrington, attaching a photo of the garden. It's not a secret garden, but it's mine, she wrote. His reply came quickly. "It's beautiful, Zora. Like you." The words, simple but sincere, warmed her. She didn't call him Dad, and maybe she never would, but Richard was becoming someone she could count on. A presence, not a shadow. Zora's journey, sparked by a whispered revelation at 30,000 feet, had transformed her understanding of family. James Williams remained her father, his love a cornerstone of her identity. Eliza, though distant, was a living presence, her courage in battling illness inspiring Zora's own resilience. Richard Harrington, once a stranger, was now a figure of cautious trust, their relationship a work in progress. Catherine, Grandmammy, Tanya, and her Baltimore community wove a network of love that held her steady. As she stood in the community garden, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of her mother's art, Zora felt whole. Not because her questions were all answered, but because she'd learned to hold them alongside her strengths. The locket, now worn occasionally, rested against her heart, a symbol not of loss but of integration. Her story wasn't finished. It was a living, growing thing, like the garden she tended. If Zora's journey moved you, subscribe for more stories of courage, family, and unexpected connections. Comment below. What did you love about Zora's path? What does family mean to you? Let's keep the conversation going.